I stand in the marble kitchen of my childhood home, my fingers trembling as I position fresh rosemary around the golden turkey. The crystal chandelier above casts fractured light across the silver platter, reflecting my flushed cheeks back at me, a mirror of 15 years of invisible labor. And this is our Melissa. My mother's honeyed voice drifts from the dining room, each word perfectly pitched for maximum admiration. The family's shining star. She's managing corporate communications for Bloomfield Industries now. Through the swinging door's gap, I watch my younger sister bask in the glow of Connecticut's elite, her blonde hair catching the candlelight like spun gold. Senator Williams leans forward, captivated by Evelyn Hale's maternal pride. Senior executive position naturally, Mother continues, her voice swelling with theatrical affection. Only 29, and she's already revolutionizing corporate America. The guests murmur their appreciation, a symphony of social validation that I've never been invited to join. My stomach clenches as I recognize the pattern, another holiday where I serve while others celebrate. And your other daughter? Someone inquires, the question I've been dreading. A pause. A deliberate, crystalline pause that shatters something inside me. Christine is around somewhere, my mother responds, her tone suggesting I'm a misplaced serving tray. She's wonderfully skilled in the kitchen. The turkey grows heavier in my hands. 15 years of building Aurora events from a desperate startup to a 7-figure luxury event empire, and I'm still the helpful one, who can be counted on to prepare family meals. The irony burns like acid in my throat. I straighten my shoulders and push through the swinging door, the platter's weight grounding me in the surreal theater of my family's performance. 12 pairs of eyes turn toward me, not toward the woman who secured the Horizon Resorts contract, but toward the elaborate meal I've spent 8 hours perfecting. Here she is now, my mother announces, her smile sharp as broken glass. At least Christine excels at something useful. The Waterford crystal catches the light. Wedgwood china gleams beneath the antique chandelier. All the props of wealth that can't disguise the cruelty. My cheeks flame as Senator Williams's wife offers a pitying smile. I'm 33 years old, I want to scream. I coordinate presidential fundraisers and celebrity weddings. I've built something extraordinary. Instead, I place the turkey at the table's center like an offering to gods who will never be satisfied. The cranberry sauce uses grandmother's recipe, I manage, my voice steadier than my racing heart. My mother waves her manicured hand dismissively. Christine always followed instructions beautifully. I retreat to the kitchen sanctuary, pressing my palms against the cool marble counter. The realization settles in my chest like a stone. 15 years and nothing has evolved. I'm still the 18-year-old girl who chose culinary school over Yale, still desperately seeking approval that will never arrive. My phone vibrates. Elizabeth, my business partner and lifeline, with our prearranged rescue signal. Emergency at the office. Horizon contract issue. Need you immediately. I face the truth I'd been avoiding, maintaining peace or claiming my dignity. For once, dignity wins. I have to leave, I announce, removing my apron like shedding 15 years of subservience. Business emergency. My mother's expression freezes. On Christmas Eve? Surely whatever crisis you've manufactured can wait. The Horizon Resorts contract can't wait, I reply, watching recognition flicker in her eyes despite her pretended ignorance of my career. We're coordinating their national rebranding launch. The Horizon deal? Senator Williams raises his eyebrows, genuinely impressed. That's substantial work. My mother's smile crystallizes. Christine runs some sort of catering business, she explains to the senator, each word dripping condescension. Event planning and brand experience design, I correct gently. Luxury corporate events and private celebrations. I really must go, I continue, gathering my coat and purse. Outside, Elizabeth's car waits in the circular driveway, engine running against the December cold. Same nightmare as last year? She asks as I slide into the passenger seat. Worse, I reply, watching the mansion's warm glow recede. They know exactly what I've accomplished. They simply choose to diminish it. As we drive away from Connecticut's gilded prison, a new understanding crystallizes within me. This is the final holiday I spend as their invisible servant. Next year, I'll host my own celebration, with people who see me. 3 days after my Christmas Eve escape, I push through the heavy oak doors of Willowbrook Country Club, my father's leather portfolio tucked under my arm. Elizabeth convinced me to retrieve important Aurora documents I'd left during a rare visit to my father's study last month. The club's familiar scent, lemon polish mixed with inherited privilege, assaults my senses as I cross the marble lobby. Portraits of Connecticut's founding families watch from gilded frames, their painted eyes following my progress like silent judges. I freeze mid-step when her laughter echoes from the sun-drenched reading room. Melissa's laugh, musical, practiced, weaponized. Through the partially open door, I glimpse her cream-colored suit, the perfect backdrop for her carefully curated image. The contract signing happens next week, so your timing is absolutely perfect, my mother's voice carries, hushed but crystal clear. Christine has no idea we discovered the Horizon deal. My heart hammers against my ribs. I press myself against the wall, the cool plaster grounding me as their conspiracy unfolds. The Williamsons sit on Horizon's board, Melissa continues, her voice carrying the satisfied purr of a cat discovering cream. Their daughter confirmed it's worth over $2 million. My father's throat clears. A warning. Lower your voices, Melissa. Dad, please. The club's deserted on Wednesday afternoons, she dismisses. Besides, who would care about Christine's little party planning venture? Event coordination, my mother corrects with surgical precision. Which makes this Horizon situation increasingly problematic. The Williamsons mentioned Christine by name at the Christmas gathering. Before we could redirect the conversation, the floor tilts beneath me. I've been calling vendors for months, Melissa confesses, her words like daggers finding their mark. Dropping hints about potential financial instability. Most responded positively after I mentioned my public relations expertise. Months, she's been systematically dismantling my company for months. While I naively believed their dismissal stemmed from ignorance rather than malice, the rustle of papers penetrates my stupor. This folder contains everything: financial projections, client databases, vendor relationships. Christine's surprisingly competent at business for someone who couldn't secure Yale admission. My father's reluctant. Admiration cuts deeper than his wife's contempt. Good. Enough to embarrass this family if she continues. Succeeding. What happens when the Thompsons discover our daughter, the one who serves Christmas? Dinner is earning more than their Goldman Sachs son? My mother's question hangs poisonously in the air. I've planted strategic concerns with 3 Horizon executives, Melissa boasts. Just enough doubt about Aurora's capacity for their national relaunch. One mentioned revisiting certain proposal elements. The wall feels cold against my suddenly burning skin. My fingers curl into fists as 15 years of puzzle pieces click into place with sickening precision. They know. They've always known. The dismissive comments, the belittling asides, the kitchen servitude, none stemmed from obliviousness. Every moment was calculated strategy dressed in family obligation. I slip away before they emerge, ducking behind an enormous fern as my mind races to reassemble my history. Melissa's strategic office visits always coinciding with major contract announcements. Her probing questions about vendor relationships, financial arrangements, timeline logistics. The health inspector appearing hours before the governor's spring fundraiser, citing an anonymous tip. The pattern of clients withdrawing after family gatherings. Coincidences stacking like dominoes finally toppling into comprehension. My Aurora corner office transforms in my memory, from professional triumph to strategic target. Each family interaction reframed from disappointing to dangerous. Every lost contract reclassified from bad luck to deliberate demolition. For 15 years, I've fought with both hands tied behind my back, believing my greatest weakness was personal insecurity. The truth burns like ice water in my veins. My family hasn't been ignoring my success. They've been actively destroying it. And now they're targeting Horizon Resorts, the contract that would elevate Aurora from regional success to national powerhouse. The deal I've spent 18 months nurturing, the cornerstone of everything I've built. My phone vibrates with Elizabeth's text. Everything okay? I stare at the screen, an eerie calm replacing my initial devastation. The wounded daughter wants to burst through the reading room doors, confronting them with their betrayal. But the CEO recognizes a more significant truth. They wouldn't be orchestrating this destruction if they weren't absolutely terrified of my success. The morning sun streams through Horizon's floor-to-ceiling windows as I step into their pristine boardroom, my heart beats steady despite the weight of everything I've built resting on this moment. 20 executives in perfectly tailored suits sit around the mahogany table, their expressions a mix of curiosity and concern. The perfect audience for my family's carefully orchestrated destruction. Melissa sits across from me, her composure cracking slightly as our eyes meet. Behind her, my mother maintains her ramrod posture in burgundy silk, while my father studies his hands as if they hold the secrets to avoiding accountability. Victoria Foster stands at the presentation screen, her silver blonde hair pulled into an immaculate chignon that mirrors her calculating smile. The same PR executive who sued Aurora 3 years ago after we refused to compromise our ethics for her celebrity client now holds court in Horizon's sanctuary. Miss Hale, Gregory Townsend, Horizon's CEO, gestures to the empty seat beside me. Thank you for joining us on such short notice. We have some concerns requiring clarification before proceeding. I place my leather portfolio on the table, Elizabeth settling silently beside me while James takes the seat at my other side, my chosen family forming a protective barrier against my biological one. Victoria taps her tablet, and the screen illuminates with what appears to be Aurora's financial records, carefully edited to showcase decline rather than the thriving reality I've built. After conducting extensive analysis, she begins, her voice carrying the practiced authority of someone who believes her own fabrications. We've identified concerning patterns regarding Aurora events' stability and leadership capability. She clicks to the next slide, displaying graphs with selectively downward trends. Client retention has fluctuated significantly over the past 3 years. Additionally, troubling reports have emerged about inconsistent management practices. My mother leans forward, her voice honeyed with maternal concern that fools no one in this room. We felt compelled to bring these issues to light. We only want what's best for everyone involved. The elegant deception might have worked if I were still the daughter desperate for kitchen approval. But that woman died 3 days ago in my parents' dining room. Mr. Townsend, I begin, opening my portfolio with hands that refuse to tremble. Before we continue, I'd like to address these claims with complete transparency. I slide a USB drive toward their technical director. This contains Aurora's complete financial records for the past 5 years, certified by 2 independent accounting firms. James speaks up, his voice carrying 3 decades of financial expertise. If I may, I've prepared comprehensive analysis that tells quite a different story. He distributes folders to each board member. You'll notice our client retention rate is 87% over 5 years, well above the industry average of 62%. Victoria attempts interruption, but Townsend raises his hand, already scanning documents with narrowed eyes that suggest growing suspicion about the morning's agenda. There's something else you should know, I continue, my voice level despite the fury burning through my veins. What you're witnessing isn't legitimate business concern. It's personal sabotage disguised as professional counsel. I slide another folder toward Townsend. This contains documented evidence of systematic interference with Aurora's operations, dating back 3 years. Elizabeth activates her tablet display on the main screen. Permission to present evidence, Mr. Townsend? At his nod, she pulls up a timeline meticulously documenting every instance of interference. Anonymous complaints to health inspectors, strategic calls to vendors expressing manufactured concerns, even recordings of Melissa actively discouraging potential clients. As Aurora's chief operations officer for 10 years, Elizabeth explains, her voice steady as granite, I've observed a consistent pattern. Every major contract negotiation has been preceded by orchestrated interference. This Horizon contract has triggered the most aggressive response yet. The room grows uncomfortably quiet as board members review evidence that tells a story my family never expected to surface. Melissa shifts in her seat, her knuckles white around her water glass. This is preposterous, my mother interjects, her voice climbing slightly higher than her usual controlled register. We've only expressed legitimate concerns about Christine's business practices. Then perhaps you can explain this. James directs attention to an email displayed on screen. Melissa contacting Victoria Foster 3 weeks ago, specifically discussing the Horizon contract and strategy for undermining it. Martin Reynolds, Horizon's chief legal officer, leans forward with the focused attention of a predator sensing weakness. Miss Foster, were you aware of the personal relationship between the Hales when you agreed to this presentation? Victoria's composure slips for just a moment, enough for everyone to witness. I was approached as a professional consultant regarding legitimate business concerns. Legitimate concerns, I repeat. Opening another file. Like the health inspector dispatched to our kitchen the day before the Williams-Thompson wedding? The one who mentioned receiving an anonymous call from a concerned family member? I distribute copies of the inspector's report, which specifically notes the caller identified themselves as family of the business owner. Or perhaps the calls to 3 regular vendors suggesting Aurora faced financial difficulties? I place phone records on the table. Calls traced back to your home telephone, Dad. My father finally looks up, his expression a complex mixture of shame and defiance that suggests he still believes his actions were justified. Your business wasn't built on solid foundations, Christine. We were trying to protect you from inevitable failure. Protect me? The words escape before I can contain them. By actively working to destroy everything I've built? Townsend clears his throat, studying the documentation with increasing concern that suggests the morning's presentation has backfired spectacularly. This appears to be personal sabotage disguised as business counsel. Miss Foster, your presentation deliberately misrepresented Aurora's financial standing. Victoria begins her defense, but Townsend cuts her off with a gesture that brooks no argument. More disturbingly, these actions appear coordinated specifically to interfere with our contract negotiations. Sarah Winters, Horizon's VP of Operations, speaks up with the authority of someone who's witnessed enough. I received a call last week expressing concerns about Aurora's capacity for our national relaunch. The caller identified herself as Melissa Hale, but never mentioned being Christine's sister. Melissa's perfect facade finally fractures. I was simply sharing relevant information about a company I'm familiar with. You're not familiar with my company, I reply, years of suppressed anger finding its voice. You've never set foot in our offices. You've never attended a single event we've produced. You've never acknowledged my success except to undermine it. I stand, addressing the board directly. Aurora Events has a 15-year track record of excellence. We've coordinated presidential fundraisers, managed corporate rebrands worth millions, and built a reputation for absolute integrity in an industry where trust is everything. What you've witnessed today is the culmination of years of systematic interference from people who claim concern while actively working against everything I've built. 3. Additional executives enter the room, representatives from companies who've worked with Aurora for years. One by one, they testify to our reliability, our excellence, our unwavering commitment to exceeding expectations. I've personally witnessed Aurora Events handle million-dollar projects with flawless execution. Thomas Richardson, CEO of Richardson Hotels, states emphatically. They're the only event company we trust with our international conferences. Melissa stands abruptly, her voice tight with desperation. This is an ambush. We came here out of genuine concern for Horizon's interests. No, you didn't, Townsend interrupts, his voice carrying the finality of judgment. The documentation here clearly demonstrates a pattern of deliberate interference timed specifically to undermine Aurora's business opportunities. He turns to my family, his expression hardening into something that suggests legal consequences may follow. I want to be absolutely clear. Any further interference with Horizon's business relationships will result in legal action. Miss Foster, you may wish to consult your own counsel regarding your participation in this matter. Victoria gathers her materials quickly, avoiding eye contact with everyone as she exits the room like a criminal fleeing the scene of her crime. My mother rises, her perfect posture betrayed by the slightest tremor in her elegantly manicured hands. We were only trying to protect the family reputation. The family reputation? I repeat quietly. For 15 years, I've built a business on integrity, excellence, and transparency, values that should enhance any family's standing. The only damage to your reputation comes from your own actions today. Townsend stands, effectively ending the confrontation that has exposed more than my family ever intended. Miss Hale, Christine, our board will need to deliberate briefly, but I believe we've seen everything necessary to make our decision. The next 30 minutes in the waiting area stretch like hours. Elizabeth squeezes my hand. No matter what happens, you've already won. They can't diminish you anymore. James nods, pride evident in his weathered features. The numbers never lie, and neither do we. Integrity always triumphs over manipulation. When we're called back in, my family is noticeably absent, retreated to lick their wounds and regroup for whatever strategy comes next. Townsend stands at the head of the table, his expression suggesting the morning's drama has resolved in ways my family never anticipated. After reviewing all evidence, Horizon Resorts has unanimously decided to award the contract to Aurora Events. The relief crashes over me in waves so profound I have to steady myself against the table's polished surface. Furthermore, he continues, we'd like to discuss expanding our relationship beyond the original proposal. We're interested in making Aurora our exclusive event partner for all properties worldwide. The victory washes through me, vindication, triumph, and the validation I've sought from the wrong people for 15 years. We signed the expanded contract now worth nearly $4 million, and I feel the final pieces of my transformation lock permanently into place. No longer the kitchen help. No longer the dismissed daughter seeking approval from people constitutionally incapable of giving it. I am Christine Hale, founder and CEO of Aurora Events, now officially recognized as an industry leader by people who value excellence over bloodlines. The Crystal Award catches the spotlight as I stand on the Waldorf Astoria's grand stage. Hundreds of industry leaders rising in appreciation. Prisms dance across the ballroom's ornate ceiling. While I grip the recognition I've earned, through 15 years of excellence, finally acknowledged, success demands both extraordinary talent and unbreakable boundaries. I speak into the microphone, my voice carrying the confidence of someone who's survived the worst betrayal and emerged stronger. The Aurora Foundation exists to champion women entrepreneurs whose families fail to recognize their vision. From my elevated vantage point, I spot Elizabeth in the front row, her silver-streaked hair elegantly styled, pride radiating from her entire being. Beside her sits James, whose financial wizardry transformed Aurora from struggling startup to industry powerhouse. The business journals called the Horizon contract a watershed moment. They underestimated its significance. My parents hover near the ballroom's entrance, uncertain whether to advance or retreat. I sent invitations as courtesy, never expecting they'd appear. Their social calendar has been notably empty since the boardroom. Revelations, Connecticut Society processing, the scandal in their characteristic behind closed doors, fashion. Christine, my mother's voice, carries new uncertainty as I approach their awkward cluster. She looks diminished, the careful makeup failing to conceal the toll of diminished social standing. Thank you for including us. The silent auction benefits the foundation, I reply with professional courtesy. There's a table reserved near the center. My father shifts uncomfortably, searching for familiar ground. The Miami expansion, that's significant growth. The Horizon contract opened unexpected opportunities, I acknowledge. Across the room, Melissa watches with unreadable expression, perhaps finally recognizing the sister she spent years undermining. 6 months earlier. Building new traditions. Last December, I hosted Aurora's holiday celebration in our Manhattan headquarters. Instead of trembling hands arranging family meals, I laughed with 60 employees while professional caterers served a menu I'd designed for the occasion. The contrast wasn't lost on anyone, especially me. Elizabeth circulates through the ballroom now, discussing the Aurora Foundation with potential donors. We've already supported 3 women in launching successful businesses, she explains to interested parties. Women whose families dismissed their entrepreneurial dreams, just like Christine's did. Our program provides both funding and mentorship, she continues. Last Tuesday, Christine spent 3 hours with Samantha, a brilliant event planner whose father insists she take a practical corporate position. Trust your instincts, Christine told her. Remember that respect isn't earned solely through success. It's demanded through boundaries. James appears at my elbow, ever the efficient CFO. The Williams Group wants to discuss their Seattle product launch. Shall I bring them over? Absolutely. As I turn to greet potential clients, my mother's eyes meet mine across the crowded ballroom. For a suspended moment, we acknowledge the chasm between who I was expected to be and who I've become. She nods slightly, a gesture somewhere between surrender and reluctant recognition. The foundation's first year later that evening, Elizabeth hands me the foundation's inaugural annual report. 3 success stories already, she says with justified pride, and applications arriving weekly. I flip through pages showcasing women standing proudly before their new ventures. A boutique bakery specializing in dietary restrictions, a luxury floral design studio, an event planning agency in Boston competing with established firms. Each represents a dream that family skepticism couldn't extinguish. When family shows you their true character, I tell Elizabeth quietly, believe them, and then build the life you deserve anyway. That should be our foundation's motto, she suggests, her eyes twinkling. As we prepare to leave, my father approaches alone, a rare occurrence in our family dynamics. Your grandmother would have been proud, he offers awkwardly. She always believed in your culinary talents. I study him for a long moment, this man who chose comfortable silence over paternal protection. She taught me more than recipes, I reply finally. She showed me that genuine talent deserves respect, not dismissal. He nods once, then retreats to safety. Outside, December snow falls gently on Manhattan's lights. Elizabeth loops her arm through mine as we walk toward our waiting car. Next year's gala will be even more successful, she predicts. With more extraordinary women to celebrate, I add. The city shimmers through falling snowflakes, and for the first time in my life, the approaching holidays hold no dread, only infinite possibility. The transformation complete. 1 year after that devastating Christmas Eve in my mother's kitchen, the transformation is absolute. The woman who once arranged rosemary around turkeys while family dismissed her achievements now hosts industry leaders at charity galas. The daughter dismissed as merely helpful in the kitchen now mentors the next generation of women entrepreneurs whose families fail to recognize their brilliance. The Aurora Foundation's first year surpassed every projection. 3 women launched successful businesses with our support. 67 applications arrived for next year's program. Elizabeth oversees operations with the same dedication she brought to surviving my family's sabotage attempts. James accepted my offer of permanent CFO position with profit sharing, finally receiving recognition for years of believing in Aurora when my own blood relatives wouldn't acknowledge its existence. His weathered face relaxes more each day, the weight of constantly defending our financial integrity lifting as our reputation solidifies. The business journals continue featuring our story. From family sabotage to industry leader became their favorite headline. But the real victory isn't in media recognition. It's in the freedom to build something meaningful without seeking approval from people constitutionally incapable of providing it. As snow blankets the city, I stand at my office window overlooking the Manhattan skyline that represents everything I've built without their blessing. The girl who once trembled in her family's kitchen has been replaced by a woman who understands that true success isn't measured in others' recognition, but in the lives transformed by refusing to accept limitations others impose. Next Christmas, I'll host my own celebration. The guest list includes Elizabeth, James, our dedicated Aurora team, and the first 3 foundation success stories, people who understand that chosen family often provides what blood relations cannot. The circle completes itself not in reconciliation with those who sought to destroy my dreams, but in creating space for others to pursue theirs without the burden of family skepticism. That's the legacy worth building, the foundation that transforms individual triumph into collective empowerment. The snow continues falling, each flake unique and perfect in its individuality, like the women whose dreams the Aurora Foundation will continue nurturing. Some families build legacies through inherited wealth or social connections. Mine will build something far more valuable, the courage to dream bigger than our origins, and the boundaries necessary to protect those dreams from anyone, family included, who tries to diminish them.